Good evening. I'd like to call this February 2024 board meeting to order. And I want to thank everybody for being here to participate and to be a part of this. And at this time, we have Shanoa Busty is going to say the prayer for us and to do the pledge.
All right, everyone, please bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, I thank you for this day. I thank you for allowing us to meet here today. I thank you for each board member and person and participants. I pray blessings over each family represented here today. I thank you for our school. I thank you for every board member, teacher, faculty that help our school go around. And I pray for the spirit of understanding and clarity here. And I pray that your way be had here today. And we worship you, we honor you, and we love you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. Everyone please stand up to say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Sonoria. Good job. Thank you. The first item we have tonight is our consent items, which consist of the agenda, the minutes of last month's meeting, the overnight field trip, and the transfer of facility. Any questions about the consent items? If not, I'll entertain a motion to accept those.
So moved.
A motion by Mr. Heitman, second by Mr. Mongery. All in favor? Okay. Next on our list is the public participation, Mr. Zay Banks. Yeah, and you have 3 minutes.
I won't need all of them. Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the board. Thank you for allowing me to speak, members of the audience. I'm here. I don't know whether or not all of the board members have had a chance to look at the applicants, but we are in the position that we were in 8 years ago, and that's for another appointment to the position of superintendent for Lincoln County School System. Now, I know that there are 9 applicants, and I'm not sure who all those 9 applicants are, and I'm pretty sure those are very intelligent and qualified people. But there's something I just want to make note of, and this is simply just to say there's one particular candidate that I would like to speak or say words of encouragement of you guys so you'll be able to remember these when you're making your final decision. And that's for Dr. Howie Farrell Gumby. All of you may know him. He works in our school system as our assistant superintendent now. And I know Xavier Banks serves on a committee of numerous organizations, whether you know me from the Chamber of Commerce or from the American Legion, or whether it's the class of 2016 president. I'm not here in any official capacity, but more so just to say, hey guys, this is something that I take note of as a member of this community. Dr. Gumby was my principal when I came through. He was my assistant principal at the middle school, and he served as my principal at the high school even when I graduated. And I'll just say Dr. Gumby is a man of valor and a man of integrity, and he's a man of his word. I remember a story, and I'll just say personally, not here to talk about his credentials and why he's qualified, but more so as the man that I know. Dr. Gumby was my principal, and I remember in high school, I was joking with one of my fellow teammates, and one of them did a guy hug, and bro hugged him. And I said, well, Dr. Gumby, I want a hug too. I didn't get one. He said, Zay Banks, you hug me, I'm going to write you up. Jokingly, I'm like, yeah, whatever. And I hug him anyway. All's fair, goes to class, didn't think anything about it. Weeks pass, I go to his office and I see my name on a sticky note. Me being Curious George, I say, Dr. Gumby, why my name on your sticky board? He said, that's right, I got to write you up. And sure enough, the next day, Mr. Mann came up to me and said, Zay, you got after school detention. I'm like, why, Mr. Mann? He said, because you hugged the principal. And I say all that to say Dr. Gumby is a man of his word, and I can live that because sure enough, I was in after school detention with Mr. Mann. But seriously, all jokes aside, I really do think that Dr. Gumby would be a great candidate. And I remind you, something that I can speak from that other people can't. When I was a student looking up to someone that was able to, I can say that looked like me in that position, I think that would be a great asset. I know all of you are out to get the best suit or the best position. And I just want to remind you guys, and I'll bring this up again, I have over 1,300 signatures. This is not a petition, but more so a letter of support for Dr. Gumby for the position of superintendent. 8 years ago when we was in this position, there was 5 members of the board. 2 currently still sit on the board today, and it was a split decision. That decision was voted on, and it was determined by the chairman at the time that Dr. Light would be in that position, and Dr. Gumby just didn't have enough experience. Now that we're 8 years later, things have changed, and I just want to remind you of that. This petition will be given to you at the March meeting, and hopefully it has more signatures. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, our next item is the student and teacher recognition for perfect score in American Lit.
Board members and community, it is my distinct pleasure to be able to recognize Elizabeth McKenzie, who has achieved the highest possible score on the winter 2023 American Lit Georgia End of Course Assessment. Now, obviously, the highest possible score means that she didn't miss one. She got a perfect score. So when we get these blessings, we try to not only recognize it, but honor them for their exceptional hard work for the teacher and exceptional hard work for the student. So if we could have both the teacher and the student come forward, please, we would love to honor you and thank you for doing an exceptional job. And it is awesome that you got an absolute perfect score.
Very good.
Would you hold that? Thank you. Congratulations.
Next is our financials.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight's financials are December, which is halfway of our fiscal year. For those of you that remember, in November, we were at 9.5% on our ad valorem taxes. Well, the month of December is when we collect 70% of our taxes. So there's our huge jump in financials. Our local will have to be adjusted, local other will have to be adjusted in the amended budget. It's just a low number based on last year's interest amounts, and we also collected a insurance claim in there. State grant, that was the teacher retention supplement that got paid in January. And that's good for revenue. Overall, our expenses are still good. We're still under budget as a whole. We have a few things to look through, but the maintenance and operation being up, some of that is our school security grant. We're paying officers to monitor our school daily. We're actually receiving money from that for the state. So although it's in here, we're getting revenue from that too. So even though it's higher, it's where it should be. Our cash on hand, as we'll get into in a minute, is almost $5 million. $500,000 of that is currently in the CD. We'll discuss more investment opportunities with the influx of property taxes we just received. But overall, this is it's our strongest month of the year. And that's good. SPLOST collections are still on par, or they're above par where we projected them to be, so that'll be something to look forward to next year. We'll have to put it back on the ballot. Back on the ballot for what do you call it, a re-estimate, I guess.
We'll have to re-estimate and re-vote on the SPLOST. That's correct.
Okay.
Is that for the May election? Or is that?
It would depend on when the board wants to move forward with that. We should move forward with it before 26.
Okay.
So
May of 25-ish.
that would make the most sense.
As you can see here, we're at halfway through the year. We are at 78% in SPLOST and I think 83% in bond. keep in mind that our bond is calculated like our property taxes, so we just receive most of it in December as well. Our capital projects, the LCES playground has arrived. Is it up and running?
It's up.
All
We're
right.
not running yet. We're not running yet.
So other than that, we spent a little more than advertised or than expected on the concession stands, but we still have a little over 60 grand sitting in our capital projects fund. Yes. Okay, so I was tasked with finding out what to do with this $3.5 million we received in December. The state is paying 5.38%. I went to both local banks and F&M obliged, and they offered a 6-month rate of 5.25 and a year-long rate of 5.15. So you can see in the underline what each would pay. It is my recommendation that we put $500,000 in a 6-month CD, $1 million in a 6-month CD, and another $500,000 in a year CD, because we have this other CD coming up in August. So we would have, if we put all of those in now, we would have 3 CDs due in August.
What was the state paying in that program?
5.38, it's just a little higher, but you take the money out of your local.
But you would recommend going with F&M?
I would recommend it. I think they went out on a limb to do this for us, to keep the money local. And as you can see, I mean, at the bottom, that's 90 grand of interest we can make. We'll make 75% of that in 6 months, and then another 26 grand in next February. I think we should be fine this year. This past year, we were behind on our ESSER funds, but I don't think we'll have a cash problem. If we do, we would only have to dip into 1 CD, and it would only be a month penalty of interest.
Okay, next question. What was the penalty?
It's 1 month of interest, and then obviously you lose the remaining interest, but you're looking at 2 grand of penalty.
But it's no penalty with the state, right?
No,
Nope.
go straight up.
But that would give us a CD every 6 months, basically, so that if we had to dip into it, you know, it wouldn't be more than 6 months there. It would just be the 1 month penalty as far as interest is concerned.
And you're always smarter to spread them out in case you need something and then it continues to roll over. You're always smarter to spread it out so you can get to it if you have to. You're not handcuffed for a solid year.
Our biggest time to need it is usually October, November, because we collect all our property taxes in December. We're up on, I'm up on our grant drawdowns right now. We have an influx of cash that I think we should make some more money off of. I don't personally see us having a problem by August, unless there are some major repairs we have to do when school's out that I'm not aware of.
So if it's in there too much, you break even. Right.
And you said Farmer State was just 4% was the max they would do.
4%, 13 months, and no compounding interest. The interest
Just
will
roll
have to go
back
back
into
in our
your
general
checking
fund.
account.
You can only do this with property tax money. You cannot do this with the SPOS money like we were explained by the auditors.
Yeah, I think if interest rates stay up, it would maybe a good idea to look into moving our SPOS to the Georgia Fund like a lot of other counties do, but at this point, we're already over budget on it, which means it's gonna become due earlier than possible, and we can't use that interest for anything, so I don't see the purpose of moving it now.
That's correct.
It's just gotta go back to
Any
the store.
interest you earn with SPOS money has to remain with SPOS money.
Right.
You cannot use it for anything else, and we checked that
We
3
wanted
different
to.
times.
Yeah, we wanted to.
Oh, yes, sir, we want to. I'm sure a lot of other districts do too, but we're gonna stay legal.
There you go.
I make a motion to proceed like you have got it drawn up.
With F&M,
Yes.
I'll have a motion on the table to use F&M for this investment.
Second.
Second by Mr. Madison. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you, gentlemen.
I got a few questions.
Go ahead.
So I might have missed it last month. I see the federal impact aid is like 295,000.
Yes, sir. So we collected 245, which is our normal first amount. Then we collected 2 previous. The federal government was behind, which is why I don't think we have budgeted for that in the past. Obviously, we'll have to in the amended budget, but
we don't budget for that any time.
well, we will in the amended because we've received it. But
Okay.
it'll just be a wash. You put in 295,078, and it'll show 100% collected.
Okay.
But we do not budget for that in the beginning.
And that's money that we're receiving because part of our county is underwater and we're not collecting taxes on that land. Is that correct?
Correct.
But it's not anywhere near what it should be. But
I
it's
don't think
something.
so.
And it's no guarantee we're gonna get it.
Right.
Right.
Well,
That's why we don't
that's the
budget
thing,
for
we're
it.
collecting from, I think that was 22 and 23, and we're in 24.
Is it the land that's on the water, or is it the core property that's actually above the core
Either,
property?
yeah, yes, yeah,
That's what
same,
I'm
same
saying.
difference, you can't use it. I
Well,
guess.
yeah, I mean, yeah, but it's
I guess,
actual
yeah.
core property.
Right. So I do have another question.
Okay, go ahead.
Back to SPOSS, I mean, do we want the election for SPOSS funds on a non-election year? Or should we do it in this year, election year? I don't know anything about that.
When, it's 27 is when it's,
Yes, but
When
we're
it
gonna,
ends.
we're gonna need to vote on it before then,
right,
so that it doesn't run out. We're gonna need to vote on it before then. There's 2 schools of thought on that, and we have done it here both ways. So it depends on what is more convenient and under the belief of the board. Some people want to do it when there's a lot of people voting, and some people want to do it when there's a few. I know that our community supports us 100%, so I think you can go either way in Lincoln County and be very successful. Excuse me.
if, just say we voted on it this year though, it still wouldn't take place until 27.
Right,
This,
or until
this
this one
loss
runs
we
out.
got now, or until, this
Yeah,
one.
until this one runs out,
Or
or
re-
27,
reaches
whichever's first.
5 million,
Right.
reaches $5 million.
Mhm.
Right.
That is correct.
So we could wait, I mean, typically we could wait till 26,
Yes.
26th election and still be safe, or we could do it next year.
Yeah, you can always do it early. Obviously, you don't want to do
Yeah,
it
you
late.
don't want to do it late.
We just wanna make sure we do it.
Yeah.
Yes, Dylan's gonna make sure that happens. I
Dylan's the
promise.
man, okay.
Yep.
I do have one more thing.
Yes, sir.
We had to raise our millage rate because of several things, but equalization funding is a biggie, I actually got to talk to Rob Leverett, which he's our representative of our district, 123, and he is on the education committee, and he is a sponsor and member of a bill. To get this right, this is House Bill 987. They're proposing a change in legislation, so they're wanting to drop the millage rate for schools from 14 to 10 and have a clawback, whatever that is. So basically, this is going to help us with equalization funding possibly. So I urge the community, the taxpayers, to go to the Georgia General Assembly website to read more about it. I don't see many people in here that was here earlier in the year when we were having tax talk. But anyway, that's for you people at home. Y'all check it out, and y'all in here as well. So it's good news, actually, if it'll go through and pass.
So if it passes, then you're saying we're looking at equalization money again, which would possibly let us, they're saying they would adjust the millage rate back to 10.
Possibly, yes, we can drop it down to 10 because our valuation of property is higher, and we have to have a minimum millage rate. So
Right.
it's something about, y'all can read it, y'all can understand better than I can, but basically, you know, if we're not in this gap, we get thrown out. They're talking about not doing that anymore. They're not going, you're not gonna be thrown out because you don't fit in that one little part. So the Gwinnett County that gets whatever they got, we got nothing.
Right.
It's gonna change. It's supposed to be, and there's a lot of other districts in this state that have the same problem.
And they're actually listening, which is
Yeah,
wonderful.
that's right, yep. People have really fussed and
Mhm.
enough so that the people we elect for office are gonna possibly do something about it.
That'll be good.
No, just FYI.
Anything else? Anybody else have questions about financials? Okay. Next item is granting access.
Mr. Madsen actually was contacted by Georgia Transmission. Now, this is not something for his car. This is Georgia Transmission lines that are the big power lines that go across behind the elementary school, for an example, which is where we're talking about. And board members, you have this sheet in front of you that I'll be referring to in just a minute. This Georgia Transmission is asking an opportunity to get access into the power lines through the far right-hand side as you're facing the front door of the elementary school. The far right-hand side of the elementary school, back on the far right by the still in gravel, so that they will not be driving on the parking lot, which is fairly new. So it would be on the far right-hand side. Excuse me, there was 4 different stipulations that were put in place trying to make sure that it met the requirement of the elementary school and didn't cause a problem for the elementary school. One of them is no access would be granted between 7:30 and 8:30 and 2:30 and 3:30. And Ms. Goldman, you can identify that it's a little bit busy in that parking lot during those windows of time with car riders, etc. Another thing that we've asked them to do is construct a gate to impede access to anyone else that may be, quote, exploring the area after they're done or while they're there. Staying off the asphalt currently in place, I talked about that one. And then notifying my office of the start and expected completion date prior to the beginning of the project. This access would be granted as they need it, but if they notify us, then it would provide that notification to the elementary school, so you wouldn't have to worry about who is this stranger that we don't know is coming in here with a truck as well. So we can easily communicate that and keep everybody in the loop of what's going on. I think simple access is pretty easy to grant considering how infrequent it would probably happen. I thank Mr. Madsen for being involved in it, and if you would like to add anything or I missed something, please jump in and help me out.
Well, they're really using it now. They have been for years. I think it's a road that goes back to it, and they just need a legal access because they're getting ready to do some construction. And Michael's here back there if you want him to speak.
Yes, sir, I'm here.
All
If
right,
anybody's got any questions.
thank you,
Is
Michael.
there any questions or anything? I think you explained it pretty well. We work for Braille EMC, and the EMCs around the state of Georgia. We bought that line from Georgia Power, I believe, 4 or 5 years ago, knowing we were gonna have to rebuild the line. When Georgia Power originally built the line, I think it was in the 60s, and they didn't really acquire access. So we're kind of, as we're rebuilding the line, trying to acquire access as we go. And this is one of the spots where we decided, you know, we could come off the road and access a few poles. So it's the first step in the process is just to get survey and figure out how, you know, the acreage of the easement. And then we'd come back and meet with you and make an offer to you and try to negotiate an easement.
And I'm not surveying it, but everybody knows
I
that.
wish Mr. Madison could survey it, but we got our own surveyor, so we're gonna have some folks survey it, and all those stipulations you mentioned, we can abide by all those, we don't have any issues with those.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for being here tonight.
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Any questions for anybody on the board? Because I recommend that we grant the access to Georgia Transmission to make this as easy a transition as possible.
Who owns the property behind the elementary school?
Right.
This side.
Prada Family
Yeah.
Partnership.
I see it on the other side, so they got both
Both
sides.
sides, yes, sir. Good question, but that's why I did that whole plat, so you can kind of get an idea who might be disrupted.
Any other questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to allow Georgia Transmissions to access this property.
Make a motion.
Motion by Mr.
Second.
Longo,
Second.
second by Mr. Heitman. All in favor? Thank you, gentlemen. Unanimous.
Thank you all.
Next item is the zero-turn lawnmower.
We have a zero-turn lawnmower that is I believe it's a 2000 model, and it is very, very tired, and we're begging it to stay together, but it's not staying together very well. Mr. Jeff Miller had received 3 quotes to replace it with a Husqvarna Z560 LS. He got quotes from Lincolnton Outdoors, Harry Saw Shop, and Taylor Outdoors, or Outdoor, and Lincolnton Outdoor was the lowest at $13.550. And I recommend that we purchase this item from Lincolnton Outdoors, and the money will be funded from the Groundskeeping Supplies Fund. And you can see the quotes that are right there behind it on your screen.
What year is that? Do you know?
The one that we're currently riding,
Yes,
I
sir.
believe it's a 2000, I believe is what he said.
My goodness.
You got 24 years out of it.
Are you
done
serious?
good.
Yes, sir, I believe he told me it was a 2000. I could be off by a year, but I think he told me a 2000. We've been begging it and staying together, and
I was gonna ask you how many hours on it, but I won't even ask.
I wouldn't know that answer. I'd be amazed.
They ought to make a commercial about it. I ain't never had one last that long.
Hasn't lasted that long.
What's the primary use since we've got a landscape contract? Is this for the athletic fields?
All
or-
the fields, yes, sir.
Okay.
All the fields, yes. And he rides it regularly. He
I
keeps
understand.
them kept up.
Will they trade the old one in?
I don't know if that's part of the deal or not. I
Okay.
just know what the cost was, but to be honest, he's got more than the candy out of it.
Okay, yeah, I agree. Yeah, so. I'll make a motion to
Question?
approve as presented.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Heitman, second by Mr. Madison to approve the zero-turn lawnmower. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
2024-2025 calendar amendment.
We approved the calendar last month for 24-25, and Ms. Goldman tried to get the pre-K division at the State Department to coordinate with us, and they did not get back in time. But as you remember, last year, we had put in place that the pre-K department students would not attend during half-days. And we have created the calendar, now that we've received the State Department blessing, we have created the amendment to the calendar to show you the dates that they would not be in attendance on a half-day if you approve it for the 24-25 calendar. The first one would be December 18th. The second one would be the 13th of March. And then the third one is the 21st of May. I feel like I'm missing one, Ms. Goldman. Help me.
February 14th.
February 14th, okay, thank you. Those of us that are colorblind don't see those very well.
They would not go to school at all on those
The
days.
pre-K students would not go
Pre-K.
to school.
Pre-K.
The teachers would be there doing the paperwork. They have a bunch of state-required paperwork that they have to do, and this is a great time for them to do that, and the students only pre-K would stay home those days. And as you look at the calendar amendment, it shows that pre-K only. But thank you for clarifying that.
Any questions about the calendar? If not, I'll accept the motion to
I'll make a motion to
accept the
approve as
calendar
presented.
amendment.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Heitman, second by Mr. Madison. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you.
I just have a general question. If we had not accepted it, which I agree with, how would you handle transportation if the pre-K students did go for a half a day and the rest of the school did not? They went full day.
We would have,
Those
go ahead. You're
are
good.
scheduled half-days for everyone
Okay.
anyway.
Okay, I thought this half day was just pre-K.
No.
Okay.
And just for a little clarification, the pre-K teachers do not have a planning period. because we're at our limit with the number of students that can be served with this current special schedule. And so the decal, which essentially we're running a separate school within the elementary school for pre-K, is funded by decal, which is Department of Early Childhood and Learning. And those teachers, the parapro, who teacher pre-K calls the assistant teacher, and the teacher always have to remain in the room. So there's no opportunity for them to work on any of the required paperwork, so.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Next item is Midland National.
Midland National is a company that sells retirement planning services. Back in 2015-16, for some reason, they lost their representative in this area and decided not to replace that person. So our employees did not have representation in the area. Our employees began going to other places for their retirement services, and we ended up dropping Midland because they did not service their clients, nor did they have enough to maintain their requirement. This year, they have replaced that person with a gentleman named Spencer Holmes. Spencer has met the requirement, and I think everybody on the board is aware, but we have a payroll deduction slot requirement that you must have a minimum of 10 clients to get a payroll deduction slot within our payroll system. So far, Spencer has 15, which does meet the requirement. Now, in the past, we have asked the board to vote on this because it keeps it very clean for all of the insurance-style employees that want to come in and instantly get a payroll deduction. The requirement is still 10 clients, and they have to have 10 actual clients, not talk to 10 people. So I am bringing Midland back to the board with over 10 clients requesting a payroll deduction slot, which does meet our recommendation and requirements.
Any question?
Make a motion to approve as presented.
Have a motion by Mr. Heitman, second by Ms. Daniel. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. Policy for review.
Okay, we have one policy review, which is CEI, which is evaluation of superintendent, which meets the annual evaluation process for OCGA 20-2-210. That is fine as written and does not need to be revised. We do have a policy for revision that is brand new, that has come out of the legislation, and it is BCBKE, the affidavit that each board meeting we have, if we would have a closed session or an executive session, we would have to provide an affidavit. That affidavit identifies the reason that we go into executive session, whether that's to talk about appointment, employment, compensation, or we could talk about a student tribunal. There's some additions that have been added now by the legislation. The first one is a reduction, actually, of OCGA-5014-3. That's been removed. The next two down, the new additions, is a discussion of school safety plans prepared pursuant to OCGA 20-2-1185, or personnel pursuant to policies related to weapons in schools. The board can discuss that in executive session, not in open session. And then to discuss or deliberate upon cybersecurity plans, procedures, and contracts regarding the provisions of cyber services, etc. Both of those are a security measure that you would not want to be in the public, so they allow that now in executive session. And for us to be up to date, we had to turn around and review this. It'll lay on the table for 30 days. If the board approves it after 30 days, then it'll go into effect after that. So that one is for revision.
Okay. Next item, superintendent's reports.
Okay, I've got a couple of things on superintendent's report. I was tasked with the whole board training for the board, because there's been discussion from the board to go to the conference in Savannah for whole board training, or what other options are out there, which I think was a great question. And we have been back and forth via email trying to decide what the board would prefer. And one of the items came up as Ms. Zenda Bowie. I think everybody remembers Zenda Bowie. She's presented here before. She is a very intelligent, great lady. I asked her today, and she told me there's dates that she cannot do. But other than that, in March and April, she'd be more than happy to come out and do a training. I would recommend you do a 3-hour training, because everybody on the board, except Ms. Daniels, I apologize, you're new, so you don't count, but in this particular 6 hours, you didn't take them. Everybody else has 6 hours. You guys only need 9. So if Ms. Zenda does 3 for y'all, which you would sit in on, then that would whittle you down to only needing 12 hours. So if we set that up, that would meet your requirements for the year. You would still, and we will discuss it next month, the delegate and somebody going to Savannah next month as opposed to the whole board, but that's a board decision. If y'all want to go as a group, then we'll set that up. I just need to know so I can get hotels, et cetera.
I'm for the 3 hours here. I think that makes a lot more sense economically.
You have the most financial.
That's all we need right now.
Yeah, and that is what you need. If you went down there and took 6 hours, it would be overkill, but there's nothing wrong with getting more education. But at this point, it makes more sense for the 3 hours, in my opinion.
Yes, sir.
Would y'all like to set a date so that I can share that with her?
That's my next
She's
question.
saying March or April.
Can we, what topic will we do, whatever we decide?
That's going to be board decision as well.
Okay. I got a suggestion.
Okay?
Since I'm just a welder, I don't know anything about superintendent selection process, so if she could do that, that'd be great.
And since she works with GSBA, I think she would be very good at that.
Right.
I'm getting to my calendar is what I'm trying to get to.
That's what she's got on here.
Those are dates she cannot do it.
March 4th, 5th, 12th, and 21st.
She cannot do it those days.
I mean, if we're looking at doing that, we need to go ahead and look at doing it quick.
Yes, sir.
Or you can go into April. And the only date she can't do it in April is the 18th. But it's y'all's call.
I think it'd be better to do it
What
in
were
March.
your dates? Yeah, March sometime.
I read
She
that.
cannot do it March 4, 5,
4th, 5th, 12th,
12.
and 21st.
or 21.
We could do
Well,
like
plenty of days.
Yes, sir.
4th, 5th, 12th.
You could do 7, you could do 14, you could do 19 of March.
I can't do 19.
Okay.
I'll be gone 16th through 23rd, so I can't do those dates.
Okay.
Can anybody do March 20th? It's a Wednesday.
I can't
16th
do it.
through
I'll
23rd, he'll be
I'll
gone.
16th through 23rd.
Oh, okay.
You could do 6, you could do 7 of March.
We can do that.
You can't do that, okay.
Well, the
13th.
next week we could do the 14th or
13th.
13th.
12 is what, yeah, she's got 12 on
We
there.
got a board meeting on 12th, right?
Yes, sir. You could do 13 or 14.
Yeah, but March 13 and 14,
Anytime.
Wednesday or
That's
Thursday.
I just, I
14th.
can't do it April 4th to 6th, but other than that, I'll do it.
March 14,
March 14th.
March 14, I'll give her March 14th. For 3 hours. Superintendent selection. Okay. I will let her know tomorrow morning.
What are we looking at that morning?
That's usually the way the board prefers, but if you want to change it, let me know.
8:30 or something?
8:30 works good for the board in the past.
Good with me.
Miss Hillary, you're different in this group. Does
Yeah,
that work
that's
for
fine.
you?
Yeah, if I can give 48 hours notice for work, I'm good.
All right.
So 14th. She's got it right. Thursday the 14th.
March 14th, 3-hour training
Thursday.
beginning at 8:30 in this room. And I will let her know in the morning, and if something crashes, I will email everybody tomorrow right away.
She's very good.
She is. She does a great job.
Next item is soccer locker room.
We had a presentation from 2 coaches in regards to the request of a soccer locker room, and I was tasked with finding out what it would cost, what would be involved. I talked to our architect, and our architect came back with a price of $400 per square foot, which would be quite expensive, as you can imagine. However, one of the things that are different in regards to this is if we are not claiming FTE, in other words, we're not having a class inside that building, we would have no FTE room in that building, then we are not required to meet all of those school building architectural requirements. In fact, the state calls it improvement of your personal district. So if you improve your district without having classes in there, you don't have to meet all those requirements. That would lower the price greatly. Now, we do have some very talented board members that have a lot of skills in regards to building things, and if they were involved, they could lead. They could not get paid, we all understand that, but they could lead and guide, and the district could pay for supplies, and the district could involve the construction class as a learning process as well, and the state would strengthen and bless that as a self-improvement within our district. Now, we'd still have to advertise it because my assumption is the cost may or will be over $100,000. And if it's over $100,000 by current law, it has to be advertised on the procurement website. However, as you put it out there for a company to bid on it, they're going to get paid and they're going to get involved and charge labor. If we do it, then we would not charge labor, so obviously the price would be quite a bit less. So I think winning the bid could come under, and that's the way our attorney explained it to me as well, because I tried to touch all of these bases so that we didn't step in something that we got to pay for later. So I've talked to the attorney, I've talked to the State Department, and I've talked to our architect. Our architect would love to look at the drawings in the building before we get started, but that's common sense. We would do that just to make sure.
Is that something we're gonna have to do, is have the plans drawn in order to put it out for bid?
You would have to have something to put it out for bid, yes, sir. Now, it doesn't have to go through our architect to have them drawn. We could have somebody draw them for us. You may know somebody that would draw them for
I
us,
do, I know two people sitting in here right now.
that could draw the architectural plans. That'd be interesting. But
Yeah, that
they
would
couldn't
be.
get paid.
So Mr. No, we don't get paid for a lot of stuff.
I know that feeling.
I'm just a surveyor.
So Mr. Monroe and I left after last month's meeting and went down there
We looked at it.
and we looked. And if there was some willingness to compromise by the soccer and track team, there's a very good possibility to extend both ends of that building.
But the problem with that now, Chris, is those concessions and bathrooms and stands is in the FTE program.
Well,
Correct.
until you draw a class in there, you're not required.
What we currently have, the facility down there now.
Yes, sir.
So if it's attached to it,
It's a storage room. There's a storage room on each end. I don't know.
the structure that's there now is partially paid by the FTE, right?
The field would be, I don't know that the
It
building
was built when the
is.
school was built.
Yeah.
So it's all part of
It's
the
all
original
part of the
plan, so
original
yeah, it
plan.
probably is,
So
yes.
if you attach it to that and add on to it, then you have to meet these state requirements.
Yes, because it would be like attaching to the school building.
Exactly.
You're correct.
So you'd
So
have
it'd have to be a freestanding event.
Okay. He's the expert.
He is, that's why
Yeah.
I'm feeding off of his knowledge,
I need to consult
absolutely.
with him on this,
Mhm.
and he can draw it for free.
He can, and you're gonna build it for labor free?
Free,
Yeah,
free
I tell you
we
what,
can-
I'll do
I'll draw
everything I
y'all build
can.
I'll help.
I'll help donate.
You buy the
Me-
supplies.
Me and the
Donate
construction
equity.
class will help you.
free we can
Yeah, we can
afford.
make it happen.
I felt a whole lot better after talking to all three
Yeah.
groups that it became feasible, because
Yeah.
$400 a square foot was extremely expensive from what we know we can afford or can't afford. But
Yes.
after talking to all three groups, I felt a whole lot better about the possibility.
Thank
I
you.
know it was the desire of the coaches to have bathroom facilities in these locker rooms. That's a huge cost.
Yep.
There's a bathroom 20, 30 feet away. It would-
Yeah, can we like detach it from the end?
And build a locker room.
And I think that
And then the
becomes,
bathroom right there.
I think that becomes a designer's decision.
Compromise of
Here's the
them.
problem, and I'm speaking from listening to them talk. When the games and all are going on, those bathrooms are used by the public as well.
Okay.
So it's not like they're using those bathrooms just the soccer team or just the track team. you know, they're using those rooms to prepare to get ready or whatever, but you have all the spectators in there at the same time as well. So I think that was the whole issue, because I talked to them about that, you know, the bathroom facilities is a big expense, and I realize that, but, you know, when we talked about doing, just a regular concrete floor, you know, nothing special as far as that, and just maybe 2 stalls in each one. But I did tell them that.
They might have to compromise.
The bathroom facilities was a lot of the expense, because you could just build that building,
Yeah,
eliminate the plumbing, eliminate the water,
yeah. A locker room, they
Yeah.
need somewhere to put their stuff.
yeah, major.
Can you not attach it to the existing building down there? Just have a
You can.
10-foot gap?
That's what I'm saying. You could,
1 foot gap.
yeah, you could not
Whatever.
attach it and not have to comply with the state requirements. But now you probably, and I don't know this, I don't know what the population of that room is. They showed bathrooms, but I don't know that the counts are right. And if you build it,
As far as what you mean?
the number of urinals and the number of toilets per, the number of people in the space.
Oh, yeah.
And you do one on each end, is that right? Tell
Yeah.
the boys on
That's what
the
he's talking about.
I think that'd be better than putting one together and having.
Mr. Monger and Mr. Cox and them need to meet together, don't they, figure out what they compromise.
Let me ask you about I know if you're standing on the field facing the bleachers on the left side, you got a main drain right there. It's a big storm drain now that goes out and ties into the middle of the street.
Mhm.
That would be right underneath.
You could build over a storm drain if it's
Well,
deep
I
enough.
mean, we'd probably be relocating that, because that's a storm drain that catches a lot of water there from the field.
Okay.
And I can't remember what was on the other side. I looked at it with them too. The other side, I know there's a pole there, but I'm not sure how close we was to that pole. I know if we went out the full distance they were talking about at the time on that side, it would get into the pole, but if you were just doing half, if you're doing locker room on both sides, if you're doing half, then, so.
We'll probably do spend some time looking at it.
And I don't know if that's something we can find out if we add on to existing building, existing concession stands, bleachers and press box, is that going to be considered?
I feel like that's gonna be,
I
have to
think that
comply
brings
with the
it
state,
right
'cause
back
that was
to
built
liability.
all at one time.
That was all
with-
part of the
with
school
whole
system.
Whole school system.
I agree with you, I think so too.
There won't be a splash fund.
Yes,
It was.
that was Bill was Boss Funds, yes, the whole thing was.
Maybe you can build this with spots.
At the $400 per foot. Running it through
Yeah, exactly.
the state. The only other concern I would have is if you did this 10 years ago, or 10 years from now, would somebody know you can't have a classroom in there?
Well, that would have to be stipulated in the building plans,
Yeah.
so that as they go in there and check on it, that they can see that right away.
Yeah.
That's part of it.
Put a placard on the wall.
Well, wouldn't have to go that far, but I understand. I would hate to think that we would get in trouble over lack of communication, so that'd be pretty easy to put in the plans. But I definitely felt better about it after talking to everybody.
Yes, sir.
You can definitely do it for a whole lot less money.
Yes.
If we can do that.
I have one more item, just to remind the board and of course the community. On Thursday, the 15th of February, which is Thursday of this week, in the cafeteria down here at the middle school, high school, is the career fair. We do one every year, but it's coming up again. It starts at 1:30 in the cafeteria. Y'all are welcome. You may already be in it. I don't know if you're in it or whoever's in it already, but I know they've got, I think it was 40, you told me, businesses that are there with tables talking to students. And
Yes, sir.
it's a great opportunity for our students to be exposed to. Georgia Power is usually there, Rail is there. I know that H&H has been there. A lot of folks bring in a lot of big hitters to make it useful for our students to be exposed to the opportunities that are out there. We greatly appreciate them doing that. This year, the community is involved, and the community can come in, I believe she said at 2:30 or 3?
320.
3:20,
Basically
okay.
get buses off campus.
But it is in the cafeteria, so just trying to educate everybody on what's going on. And that's all I have for superintendent's report.
Any other questions? Need a motion to go into executive session? Made by Mr. Madison, second by Mr. Hyden. I'd like to call this meeting back to order. The superintendent has recommended all of these, so I'm just gonna go through the list of names and we're going to approve them like that. So I'll make a motion that we hire Tiffany Howard as a substitute teacher for 23-24 school year. Second by Mr. Heitman, all in favor? Unanimous. I'll make a motion that we hire Stephanie Drake as paraprofessional. Second by Mr. Madison, all in favor? Unanimous. I'll make a motion that we accept the resignation of Crystal Lively effective May 31st.
Second.
Second by Mr. Madison, all in favor? Unanimous. Make a motion that we accept Jennifer Beard's resignation effective May 31st.
Second.
Second by Mr. Heitman, all in favor? I'll make a motion that we accept the retirement of Shelby Turner effective May 31st.
Second.
Second by Mr. Heitman, all in favor? I'll make a motion that we accept the resignation of Ashley Rivera effective May 31st. Second by Mr. Madison, all in favor? I'll make a motion that we hire Brian Joyner for the position vacated by Ms. Turner's retirement. Second by Mr. Madison, all in favor? Make a motion that we accept the resignation of Casey Dion effective February 2nd, 24. Second by Mr. Heitman, all in favor? I'll make a motion that we hire Rebecca Goble as a special education paraprofessional.
Second.
Second by Mr. Madison, all in favor? I'll make a motion that we hire Krista Rowland as an adaptive education class for 2024-25 school year. Second by Mr. Madison, all in favor? I'll make a motion that we hire these substitute teachers. We're gonna do all of them at one time. I'll make a motion we hire Melissa Newsom, Alexis White, Amber Hagan, Anna Cunningham, Marie Kelly, Katrina Willingham, Tanya Harper, and Caitlin Vaughn as all substitute teachers.
Second.
Second by Mr. Heitman, all in favor? I'll make a motion that we hire Monica Leverett for substitute food service worker. Second by Hilary, all in favor? I make a motion that we hire Jeffrey Butler as a substitute custodian. And substitute maintenance worker for the 23-24 school year.
Second.
Second by Mr. Madison, all in favor? I'll make a motion that we hire Jeff McKinney as a full-time science teacher for the 24-25 school year. Second by Mr. Madison, all in favor? I'll make a motion that we accept the teacher's contract as presented for the 24-25 school year.
Second.
Second by Mr. Heitman, all in favor?
Is that all the teachers?
That's all the teachers, yes.
I'm going to abstain from Janice Madison and Britt McKinney.
Okay, we have an abstention from Janice Madison and Britt McKinney on those teachers. I make a motion that we accept all the administrative contracts as presented for the 24-25 school year.
Second.
Second by Mr. Heitman, all in favor? And I make a motion that we approve Mr. Henry Madden, Mr. Lee Homskis, and Ms. Candace Homskis as teachers returning for part-time. Second by Mr. Madison, all in favor? Unanimous. And I think I need a motion to adjourn if there's no more question. Mr. Heitman, second by Ms. Daniel.